Hello, welcome to Superstition, Talking Snakes, Unjust Taxes, and Nonsense, the program where we believe that sacred cows make the best hamburger, as Mark Twain once said. This is a support program for the non-believer, the heretic, heathen, infidel, freethinker, you name it. And on our last program, which was guest hosted by our good friend and associate Dwayne Walker, he initially said it was a support group here, and I would like to add now that unlike a 12-step program which has all these references to a higher power, our kind of secular support group, I think, might have 12 steps. We could say it's 12 steps, but I think each step would be the same. There is no God, so deal with it. There is no God, so deal with it. Number 3, so on and so forth. We're just hard-bitten people, folks, but we will try always, if we can, to laugh. Moreover, we want to be critical without being negative, but sometimes you just can't help yourself.
I know.
Things slip out, and this is Access, so as Dwayne and I were saying a few minutes ago, who's watching anyway, right? Well, kidding aside, I wanted to tell our viewers that I brought back one of the talking snakes. We talk about talking snakes, it's in our title, and you may think it's a mythological concept, but just to show you that it's not only old Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden who encountered the serpent with the sly tongue, I brought my talking snake from Mexico, picked it up in Mexico City, Quetzalcoatl here, on our table. I don't know if it's possible to get a shot of the old serpent himself, but I tried to put him at an angle so you could get a little bit of his snout. In any event, I'm very pleased to welcome to our set Dwayne Walker. I've been referring to him for the last minute or so without properly introducing him. Dwayne is a former student at the notorious fundamentalist college, Bob Jones University. He's a cineast. I like that word. It sounds so elegant and European. A cineast, local promoter, raconteur, what have you, Atheists United board member, and, congratulations, recent recipient of an Atheists United Distinguished Service Award. I don't believe I've mentioned that before.
Thank you very much for mentioning that, yes.
Moreover, our producer, Lauren Peck, was also similarly awarded a Distinguished Service Award recently. Dwayne, welcome to Stun.
Well, thank you. It's great being here, and I hope that before this program's over, I can hear that snake talk. I'm just...
If the snake doesn't talk first, we'll expect a visit from Yag, your alleged god, who is always invited to occupy this seat and has never yet done so in the years we've been on the air. But Dwayne, you have been conspicuously involved of late with the Atheists United, hereafter referred to as AU for brevity, video project. This entails a lot because I understand you're even harboring a lot of high-tech equipment in your condo.
Oh, God. Well, yes, I am, until a building is completed, the Center for Inquiry West. Viewers might recognize the name Paul Kurtz, Prometheus Press. They're the ones who are putting this together, and they're organizing all the free thought groups, getting donations, doing some fundraising, and that sort of thing. We don't know exactly when this building is going to be built, but as soon as it's built, the equipment goes from my house into the building. And, you know, groundbreaking just can't begin soon enough for me.
You have something to show us today, a clip, and I'd like to ask you to set it all up for us.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to show a short documentary here called Atheism, the Rational Alternative, which is the new slogan for Atheists United, because previously it was the wave of the future. And you know, this is starting to...
Does this mean, let me ask you the obvious now. Does this mean Atheists United, AU, has determined that we are not the wave of the future?
Well, this reminds me of a Jay Leno monologue about Delta, about how they kept changing their slogans, and it was Delta, we love to fly and it shows. And now it's Delta, we get you there. Like, what do you want? We get you there.
You know what? I work in my line of work at the law firm. I deal with lots of couriers. My courier compatriots tell me that Delta actually stands for doesn't ever leave the airport.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I think the rational alternative is a more rational slogan than the wave of the future, because we don't know what in the world's going to happen. Aside from that obvious fact, I don't want to come out as too much of a pessimist, but I think, for lack of a better phrasing, religion's going to be with us for a really long time, and I don't think we're going to be shaking it anytime soon. I mean, I hear atheists all the time when they hear of something amazing happening, like people claiming to see the Virgin Mary in their coffee cups or something like that. You know, they'll be saying something like, "I can't believe that in our day and age that that people are still superstitious." And I don't have a hard time believing that in our day and age people can do a lot of dumb things, and they do and they will. We're always going to be the rational alternative, I believe. I believe atheism is the rational alternative. It's a rational and very competent and coherent way of relating to the universe, putting all your emphasis on what can we do now to preserve things as they are, as well as to improve the condition. I've never considered myself one of these environmentalist, liberal, democratic types, but you know, when I hear things like, well, the reason it was so hot last year was because of the ozone layer and all the factories, and I think about how, you know, if things keep going the way they are, even worse, you know, gee, we all may be wearing gas masks in another century, you know. So I think that atheism is definitely, we need to concentrate more on what's happening here on Earth than in the future. But as long as there are TV and fundraisers and money to be made, there will always be a religion.
And on that sobering note, can you tell us what we're about to see?
Yes, the documentary is called Atheism, the Rational Alternative, and it concerns a group of people. Yes, much like Gilligan's Island, you get the professor and you get the professor and lots of professors.
That would be an atheistic group for you.
And they're on Venice Beach, and they're, I want to say witnessing, I'm sorry, I'm an ex-fundamentalist, what other word can I use? But they're trying to reach people with the rational alternative of atheism. And then when it's over, you're going to see a 30-second public service announcement, which I'll have some words to say about that after the end of the documentary. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and roll it.
Let's roll the tape.
Well, I'm John Nelson. I'm co-president of Atheists United, as you well know, and we are a nonprofit educational organization. We have two purposes. One is the promotion of atheism, and the other one is the principle of separation of church and state. And when you consider the inroads that the religious right has had on the political system in this country, I think it's appropriate that some group stand up and tell them exactly what the problem is.
What is an atheist?
An atheist is simply someone who is without a God belief. In other words, to understand the word atheist, all you have to do is go back to the ancient Greeks and look at the way that the word is divided up. A means without, and the comes from theos, meaning God or gods, and ism comes from ismos, meaning belief. So an atheist is someone who is without a God belief.
I don't know if I believe in God, but religion's never been that important to me. Does that make me an atheist?
You're an atheist. What you have to understand is that there is a very popular misconception in this country. That is as follows. You have the religionists on one hand. On the other hand, the other extreme is the atheists. And right in the middle are these nice, non-fanatical agnostic people who say maybe yes and maybe no. That's not what it is. Agnosticism is not a position. It's the attempt to evade a position. In other words, when you say that you're an atheist, you're saying that you do not have a God belief. You are not asserting dogmatically that no God exists. All of the agnostic is saying is that maybe yes, maybe no, which is really a philosophically untenable position if you think about it, because agnosticism is inherently dogmatic in that it says, I will not take a stand. There is no stand that I will take. In other words, they are saying that the existence of God is in principle unprovable, which is a dogmatic statement. Neither theism by itself or atheism by itself is inherently dogmatic, although obviously, considering the influence that a lot of religious people have in this country, many of them are in fact very dogmatic, but theism in itself is not a fundamentally dogmatic position. It's just that you believe in a God, but it doesn't say how strongly you feel about that belief.
So what are you guys doing down here on Venice Beach?
We're out on the beach because we think that it's important that we present a united front for atheism, and we think that it's important that the general public realize that there is a rational alternative available to religious superstition. What we want to do is to present a positive image in so much as possible, because we do get hostile people that come up to us from time to time. We try and present as positive an image for atheism as we can. And as I said, sometimes that is difficult. We do get people that come up that are overtly hostile, and sometimes it becomes difficult. But with a little humor and a smile, I think that the atheist position will win out in the end.
My name is Henry Farber. I have been an atheist member for the last 7.5 years. What I'm doing here is I'm manning the booth, mainly on Saturdays, circumstances permitting, and we have been doing this since 1991. The reception we get here at Venice Beach is diverse. We get people with thumbs up. We also get people with thumbs down, and sometimes we get people with thumbs in betwixt. But this is things that we are used to. We never had any physical violence per se. We get verbal abuse sometimes. But otherwise, it's a very interesting challenge, especially an intellectual challenge.
We had a lady that came up to us just a little while ago that was, as I described her, a one-person cult. She was hostile from the get-go, and she was trying to get us aggravated. And as I said, we do get people that try and do that to us. And she was just being belligerent and insulting not only to us, but to the lady at the other booth over there. So she wasn't hostile specifically towards atheists. She was hostile towards humanity.
Well, as I said before, we get mainly hostile verbal abuse, but we also get praise. So one balances out the other. For example, we get like teenagers, and they come in group, some type of Christian cultists, and they sometimes give us a hard time, but we know how to handle them. First of all, they want to get us angry, and that's one thing that we don't give them the satisfaction of doing. So they are very surprised that we are very calm, and we have answers to almost everything. Well, the best thing that the people can tell us is when they come over and say, "Wow, am I glad to see you here. I never thought that I would see an atheist table here at Venice Beach." But then Venice Beach is what it is. It's the third biggest attraction in Southern California.
We did get one person that actually physically threatened me one time. I came out here with somebody else, and the two of us were the only people staffing the table, and this person went away for just a moment, leaving me alone. And we had a fellow that came along with a large lance, which he had decorated with beads and everything, and it obviously was a rather formidable weapon. And he came over with a big scowl on his face, and he looked at me and said, "Atheist, huh?" I didn't say anything. He said, "Well, I know there's a God." And so I, again, didn't say anything because I just wanted to shoo him along by ignoring him. And he said, "I know there's a God." He said, "I know there's a God because he's telling me right now not to bring this down on your head." So we do get some kooks out here from time to time, but that's the only time we even came close to being physically threatened.
What we are doing here at Venice Beach is mainly to show the flag of atheism, because we are the only table that represents reason and rationality. All the other tables you'll find soothsayers, you'll find cults of all kinds, you'll even find one people cults. And you'll find all kinds of crazies that are trying to sell their philosophies that you never heard of before. So we are actually doing the organization a lot of good by showing that we are very different and that we are rational, because we are the only table that can claim that is non-religious.
Well, I can give you my personal experience as an atheist. What atheism means to me is that it frees me to be me, as I can always, as I should be, not as what religion wants me to be. I am free to pursue everything I want to pursue in my life, enjoy life to the fullest, So when I die, I know I have enjoyed myself here on this planet where that's all there is.
Well, let me tell you, I came out of one of the established religions, and as a young man, I went away to see, and I saw the world, and it tended to broaden my thinking. And I found out I was able to see a lot more clearly, and I met people of like-minded like myself, and that encouraged me, and I felt a lot less restricted and happier. I can put it in those words. I think nature, not God, gave me a brain, and you're supposed to grow as the years go by, and I've embraced different thoughts and freer thoughts, and that keeps me afloat, and I associate with people who share my views, and I'm a lot more happier, and I meet a lot of religionists who aren't really happy, but they always look to blame somebody. And this whole country was based on the idea of separation of church and state. We're the only country in the world that has that written into our Constitution, and it's to be valued. And there are forces in this country right now who want to change that. And that tells you how my thinking has taken me. I'm happy, I'm content, and everybody has a knowledge of their own worth, and one should be content.
The bottom line is, I tell Christians that Jesus has had 2,000 years to make the world a better place. Look around you. It's atheism's turn.
What is Atheists United?
We are a nonprofit educational organization. We have two purposes. One is the promotion of atheism, and the other one is the principle of separation of church and state.
I am free to pursue everything I want to pursue in my life, enjoy life to the fullest. So when I die, I know I have enjoyed myself.
Make the most of it.
You only go around once. Make the most of it. This message brought to you by Atheists United.
Dwayne, I've got to hand it to you, especially commenting on the last PSA public service announcement, which was right there at the end. You had a curious juxtaposition of audio and image. I don't know if you intended this, but Margie Farber is saying, as an atheist, I'm free to pursue whatever I want. And then there's a scantily clad woman on a skateboard coming straight at the screen as she's saying that.
Oh, well, that was definitely unintentional. I didn't mean that Margie wanted to pursue this
well, that's what it looked
woman
like to
on a
me.
bikini. Well,
or maybe that tells you more
apologize
about
for
my state of mind than anything. But I salute you for that effort. I have been long aware of the Venice Beach outreach group, although I will confess now I've never actually joined them there at the table. And I used to live in Venice Beach, actually, for a number of years. But I find that an interesting venue for outreach. Can you tell me what the group there seems to see as the principal value of being at Venice Beach? Is there a particular rationale behind that?
Well, Henry Farber's the main guy to talk to there. He believes that he's doing good, that he is contacting a number of people. A lot of these people who come there are tourists, and they'll come in, they'll take the atheist materials, and then they'll go back to whatever part of the country they're from and contact Atheists United. I don't know if there's been an increase in membership, but there certainly has been an increase of contacts of people contacting Atheists United. There's something else at work, though, in going out there to the beach. It has really nothing to do so much with trying to contact people. And I think it's just the whole camaraderie, just the whole idea of going out there with a mission. And I can tell you, as a former fundamentalist Christian who every Easter used to go to Daytona Beach, actually only two times, go out to Daytona Beach and witness to all the college students there. Not as intensive as them. I mean, we didn't have a booth and let people come to us. We went to the people. And when you just meet all these people, it really instills in you a sense of everyone else out there is crazy. We're not. What's wrong with you people? And I think that no matter what your perspective is, when you're out there on the beach and you're meeting all these different people, it's hard not to have this sense of rightness that comes about you. And I really detected that. And I think it's more just a fun thing to do, though. I got to tell you, you got to have your hats off to Henry and Marjorie Farber for their efforts, because they live way out in the San Fernando Valley, and I can't, for the life of me, imagine. I live in Long Beach, but getting out there and driving all the way to Venice Beach every Saturday for this outreach. So they're to be commended for this.
For some reason, something that Margie said, and she was included in a couple of the clips there, something she said about when I die, my life will be over, so I've got to live to the fullest, something to that effect. It made me think of something. For some reason, Mel Blanc jumped into my mind. Now, for those who don't know, this is the man who is the voice to virtually all of the major Warner Brothers cartoon characters. And it led me to wonder when I saw Margie say something about dying and what would her legacy be as an atheist, or what would her, she didn't say epitaph, but that's what got me thinking about Mel Blanc. I wonder if Mel Blanc was an atheist because he had put on his gravestone, "That's all, folks." And think about that. Think about that. That's all, folks. Which is something we atheists say about death. That's why life has an incredibly important place in our lives, if it's all you have.
I liked what Marjorie said, though. I mean, I incorporated that into the PSA where she says, I am free to live as I want, or I am free, atheism frees me to be me. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that if you spend any time in religions or even in spirituality, the so-called New Age or open-minded or white light religions and all that sort of stuff. You know, you still have a sense that no matter where you are on the spectrum, it's just not enough, you know?
I think John Nelson, Atheists United co-president, who did probably the lion's share of the talking in the piece, said something that was very important with regard to what atheism is as contrasted to theism. And it's something we really should reiterate more on the program, and that is that atheists are not dogmatically asserting there is no God. We're taking the line from Jerry Maguire. It's like, show us the money. Show us the money. We are atheistic, meaning without a God. We don't subscribe to a God belief. We're open to reason. We're open to empirical proof. That's why we have the tag chair, the YAG chair. The alleged God, your alleged God. We've invited this entity or entities to appear on the program to give us evidence of supernatural divine existence. We have yet to see it. We say, show us the money.
Well, that's a very good point there. In fact, that was one of my drawing lines. One of the reasons why I kind of withheld proclaiming myself an atheist back in the early days, at least about 83, 84, was this whole idea that atheists are declaring with certainty there is no God, but the agnostic is just saying, show me the evidence, there's no evidence either way. And then when I first met my first atheist there, my first atheist friend who basically explained it to me, I remember just laying in bed thinking, you know, I'm just tired of religion, I just want to live life without religion, and if that makes me an atheist, that's what I am. And that was really kind of I don't even know what the word epiphany is, but I sure do use that a lot. But I think that was like kind of an awakening there, realizing that I don't have to know anything. I'm just right as I am. Yes, I could be better. You know, I could be a better person. I could be better career-wise. There's all kinds of things. That's within my control. My problem with a lot of religions is no matter where you are, you've always got to attain some deeper degree of spirituality or a higher degree of spirituality, or, you know, you got to feel like you're walking in the will of God. And there's no evidence for it. There's no reason we should be hammering ourselves like this. What's wrong? Why is God punishing me? Every one of us has bad circumstances that happen to us every now and then, some people more often than others. I remember fundamentalist Christians who go around from my past saying, why is God doing this to me? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not in the will of God? And to have an atheist come in and say, you know, maybe you're just getting a bad break, you know? That kind of thing. It's liberating to know that, you know, you're not the center of the universe.
I'm sure glad I'm not, because it'd be a lot of responsibility. One thing that we also need to continually mention on this program is that for years we've been saying we want to stand up, be counted, we want respect. Well, respect has to be earned, I think, individually, person by person. But what we can really assert is the right to be recognized under the law as equals, because so often we're bad-mouthed, we're held to be the worst of the worst. I mean, you can practically be any other kind of human being, a cannibal, child molester, you name it, and if you believe in God, you know, you're saved. I think we mentioned either in private conversation, I no longer know where the line is drawn between
I know,
television,
that's
doing
right.
television and a private conversation, so I can't remember if we discussed this on a previous stun or not. But there's this instance that's in the media right now, and of course by the time the show airs it'll be later, but there's a woman on death row in the state of Texas, Carla
Yeah.
Faye Tucker, whom even Pat Robertson is saying should be spared the death penalty because she repented and believes. So there's this whole division between what a person, whatever he or she does, no matter how notorious, and what he or she deserves if they're a believer in God. I mean, that is sort of the way you get off the hook.
Oh boy, do I have mixed feelings about that, because I saw her being interviewed, and of course in general I'm against the death penalty, even though I must say it's the timeless contradiction. If someone were to kill somebody closer to me, then I'd probably be for the death penalty there. But in general, philosophically, I'm against that. And it really does bug me that Pat Robertson had to jump on this bandwagon in this case, because it really creates this thing like, okay, no, I don't want her to be executed, but good grief, I don't want to back up Pat's agenda either. But I mentioned this on a previous Stun episode with Lauren Peck. Isn't it interesting that some of the good people we know who work for charity, according to Christian theology, are probably going to hell, whereas Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and of course this lady right here, are going to heaven.
Well, Dwayne, we have less than a minute left, and I have to basically wrap it up on the note that you and I are hellbound if the religionists are right. Carla Faye Tucker is going to her rest through the pearly gates, assuming she's
Ted Bundy
executed,
and
along with
Jeffrey
Ted
Dahmer.
Bundy and others. So, folks, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But as Mel Blanc said, that's all, folks.
The Atheist Alliance has societies in all of the cities listed on your screen. You can access any of them by checking the phone book for the one in your area, or by contacting the Atheist Alliance at the address or phone number at the end of this current roster. Note the Atheist Outreach, which has been organized to serve those without an organization in their area. We can also assist you in organizing your own atheist society. Contact us at the Atheist Alliance, Post Office Box 6261, Minneapolis, Minnesota, zip 55406, or call area code 612-588-7031. This program is a product of ATVOP, the Atheist TV Outreach Project. We invite your participation as part of the ATVOP team on any level, as distributor, producer, or any of a myriad of other activities, from writing scripts, talent scouting, videotaping, and so on. Complete information and mentoring is available from the Alliance address on your screen.